Who's the richest person in history? Elon Musk? Jeff Bezos? What if there was a man so wealthy, his fortune can't even be measured today? You've probably never heard his name, but he wasn't just a king. He changed the fate of an empire. In 1324, a king arrived in Cairo and crashed the local economy. Just by giving away gold. An entire city trembled. But from its ruins, a golden legend was born. Mansa Musa. Imagine a man building cities with his fortune, yet leaving chaos behind. Mansa Musa made history, not just with gold, but with power. But do we truly know him, or is he just another myth? If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and drop your thoughts in the comments. With your support, we can bring more legends to life. In the heart of West Africa, a forgotten empire quietly thrived. Mali. Rarely seen on old European maps, this land once held nearly half of the world's gold. Caravans crossed deserts, scholars copied books, and kings ruled with both wealth and wisdom. It wasn't just a kingdom. It was a sleeping giant. History nearly overlooked. The Mali Empire stretched from modern Senegal to the edges of the Niger River. Across thousands of kilometers, its cities flourished along vital trade routes. Rivers served as lifelines, feeding a rich blend of cultures and languages. This land was more than gold. It was a vibrant civilization, bound by knowledge, commerce, and royal ambition. Mali's true strength lay beneath its soil. Massive gold deposits made the empire one of the wealthiest in human history. But this gold wasn't just for show. It powered armies, built cities, and opened doors to global diplomacy. Gold here was more than treasure. It was the foundation of power, prestige, and a legacy that echoed across continents. Through the burning sands of the Sahara, caravans carried salt, ivory, textiles, and gold. Timbuktu and Gao rose as economic giants, connecting sub-Saharan Africa to the Mediterranean world. Markets buzzed, mosques rose, and knowledge flowed freely. Under Mansa Musa's reign, these cities became not just trade hubs, but centers of faith, culture, and political influence. Before Mansa Musa, the Mali Empire was already a rising star. Founders like Sundiata Keita laid the foundation of a mighty kingdom. They established laws, defended borders, and expanded trade across Africa. But when Musa ascended, he didn't just inherit their legacy. He elevated it beyond imagination, reshaping Mali's destiny forever. The people of Mali once followed animist traditions. The change came from the north. Muslim traders brought more than goods. They brought a new faith. Mosques began to rise, and Arabic script filled ancient scrolls. Mansa Musa embraced Islam, weaving it into the empire's identity. Religion became power, and Mali's faith echoed from desert to sea. A king had planned a voyage to the ocean. Instead, he vanished and left his deputy in charge. That deputy was Musa. His rise to power was unexpected, but fate had chosen him. When he took the throne, everything changed. This wasn't just a new ruler. It was the beginning of an era that would reshape history with gold and vision. Mansa Musa's fortune wasn't just measured in gold. It was measured in influence, memory, and transformation. Some historians estimate his net worth at over $400 billion in today's value, but his impact went beyond numbers. His wealth shifted trade routes, shaped diplomacy, and redefined what it meant to rule with prosperity. This was not just riches, it was living power. Mansa Musa's wealth was so vast, modern economists can't even calculate it properly. A caravan of 60,000 people, each dressed in fine garments, camels carrying hundreds of pounds of gold, and gifts handed out across thousands of kilometers. This wasn't luxury, it was a declaration of economic dominance, and the world would never forget it. Is gold always valuable? In Cairo, Musa gave away so much he caused hyperinflation. Prices skyrocketed, and the city's economy crashed. It took over a decade to recover. His generosity became a cautionary tale about unchecked power and wealth. Sometimes, even blessings can turn into burdens if misused. Wealth isn't only gold. In Timbuktu, thousands of handwritten manuscripts were copied and preserved. Libraries were built, and a culture of learning flourished. This city became the intellectual heart of Africa. Musa funded scholars and scribes, and knowledge became a lasting treasure. Long after the gold faded, the wisdom he nurtured lived on. Mansa Musa invested not only in palaces, but in minds. He built universities, supported scholars, and created institutions for generations. He knew true wealth shines brightest when paired with wisdom. Timbuktu turned into a beacon of knowledge, where gold met thought, and a kingdom became a school for the world. The palaces of Mali were more than structures, they were symbols. Towers, courtyards, and golden decor represented the empire's grandeur, but they also reflected its imagination. Mansa Musa wasn't just a rich king, he was a patron of elegance, a builder of dreams. His empire stood tall in both wealth and artistry. To his people, Mansa Musa's wealth wasn't just power, it was a blessing. His generosity brought food, protection, and pride to the empire. He wasn't feared, he was respected. His riches gave hope, and his rule became part of the people's dignity. Wealth, for them, meant being seen, heard, and lifted. Musa's fortune didn't only inspire, it provoked jealousy. Neighboring kingdoms saw Mali's rise as a threat. Trade blockades, political schemes, and silent alliances began forming. The shine of gold also cast a shadow, and from admiration came quiet tension that would eventually reshape the region's politics. Musa's story forces a question. What is true wealth? Gold and palaces, or the legacy you leave behind? Great empires are built on more than treasure. They rise with vision, fall with greed, and endure through the ideas they inspire. Mansa Musa's riches faded, but his mindset still echoes through time. In the year 1324, Mansa Musa made a decision that would echo through history. He would go on Hajj, not just to fulfill a spiritual duty, but to place Mali on the map of the Islamic world. This was no ordinary journey. It was a grand procession of faith, draped in gold, powered by purpose, and destined for legend. Musa didn't travel alone. He led a caravan of 60,000 people. Nobles, scholars, guards, servants. Over 500 camels, each carrying gold and precious goods. The caravan stretched across the horizon. It wasn't a king on pilgrimage, it was an empire on the move. And every city they passed stood in awe of Mali's glory. Every servant wore rich fabrics, every horse carried gold ornaments. Even the animals shimmered with wealth. This journey was more than religious. It was a calculated message to the world. Mali was powerful, prosperous, and worthy of global respect. Musa turned faith into diplomacy and spectacle into strategy. The road itself became his stage. At every stop, Musa gave gold to the poor, funded mosques, and supported communities. His generosity amazed all who met him. He wasn't just showing off, he was living his faith. But with every act of kindness, he was also disrupting fragile economies. Gold can heal, but it can also imbalance. When Musa reached Cairo, he flooded the markets with gold. Prices skyrocketed. Inflation ravaged the city. Musa's presence triggered an economic storm that Egypt took years to recover from. His generosity was legendary, but also destabilizing. This moment became a lesson in how too much wealth can become too much power. In Cairo, Musa met with the Abbasid Caliph. This encounter marked Mali's official recognition within the Islamic world. It wasn't just religious significance, it was a political victory. From the heart of Africa, Mali had entered the global stage, and Musa earned not only wealth, but the respect of nations. Musa also met the Sultan of Egypt. The Sultan had never seen such wealth from a sub-Saharan ruler. Their meeting was a milestone. It proved that greatness could rise from beyond the deserts. Musa didn't beg for favor. He stood as an equal, and the Arab world took notice. Musa's pilgrimage wasn't just spiritual, it was strategic. He forged alliances, gained favor with scholars, and linked Mali to a vast network of Islamic trade and culture. Mali became more than a kingdom. It became a trusted node in a growing world. This journey was diplomacy written in gold. When Musa arrived in Mecca, he was received with honor. He prayed with scholars, contributed to holy sites, and displayed his devotion with dignity. This wasn't just about completing the pilgrimage, it was about earning respect. And by the time he left, Mali was no longer a mystery, it was a marvel. Timbuktu rose like a miracle in the middle of the desert. Once a humble trading post, it became a beacon of culture and learning with the support of Mansa Musa. Here, knowledge shone brighter than gold. Timbuktu wasn't built on riches alone, it was built on ideas, and soon it would become Africa's intellectual star. At the heart of Timbuktu stood Sankore University. Students from across Africa and beyond came to study here. From mathematics to law, astronomy to poetry, the university offered more than knowledge. It offered purpose. This wasn't just a school, it was a brain for an entire civilization. And Mansa Musa's gold was turning into wisdom. In Timbuktu, books were worth more than gold. Some manuscripts were transported by camel, others stored in royal vaults. Markets traded in knowledge, and scholars copied texts for hours each day. Musa didn't just carry riches, he carried wisdom. To him, real wealth was measured in pages, not in coins. Arabic became the language of learning. Fatwas, poetry, science, all written in elegant script. But local languages weren't erased, they fused with Arabic, creating a rich blend of thought. This unity of language allowed ideas to travel beyond borders. Mansa Musa's vision was not only economic, it was linguistic. Musa built more than mosques. He built libraries, paid scribes, funded scholars, and invited the brightest minds to Timbuktu. He even covered students' travel expenses. This wasn't charity, it was strategy. Musa was building an empire of thought, and it was growing faster than gold ever could. Before the European Renaissance began, an intellectual awakening was already happening in Africa. Debates in Timbuktu predated Western philosophy by centuries. This explosion of knowledge reshaped how the world would think, and behind this spark stood the silent hand of Mansa Musa's vision and funding. The fame of Timbuktu spread to Europe's shores. Travelers, traders, even spies came seeking secrets. Because Timbuktu wasn't just producing gold, it was producing power. And in every era, knowledge is the sharpest weapon. Musa's empire was now under the microscope of the world. The fame of Timbuktu spread to Europe's shores. Travelers, traders, even spies came seeking secrets. Because Timbuktu wasn't just producing gold, it was producing power. And in every era, knowledge is the sharpest weapon. Musa's empire was now under the microscope of the world. Mansa Musa's generosity earned admiration, but also imbalance. Cities flourished with his wealth, yet others collapsed under its weight. Too much gold led to inflation, economic gaps, and wasted resources. Wealth without control becomes chaos. And in many regions, Musa's legacy sparked debate. Was he a hero of prosperity or a symbol of excess? After Musa's death, his successors lacked his vision. Gold remained, but leadership weakened. Education slowed, trade routes faltered, and the empire began to shrink. Mali had grown under genius, But without that guidance, its brilliance dimmed. When a great leader falls, only the memory remains, unless the legacy is protected. Timbuktu, once a city of light, began to fade. Scholars left, libraries closed, and once cherished books were abandoned. What was once a lighthouse of knowledge now flickered in silence. Without attention and care, even the greatest centers of learning can vanish into dust and shadow. Mali's wealth attracted unwanted eyes. Jealous kingdoms launched attacks, trade routes were blocked, desert paths turned dangerous. What once made Mali powerful also made it a target. Gold shines, but it also signals. And when no one defends the treasure invites war. By the 15th century, European explorers arrived. They had heard the tales of gold, and they came not to trade, but to conquer. Mali appeared on their maps, but not as a partner, as prey. Wealth is magnetic, but if unguarded, it becomes a curse. European powers followed the scent of gold deep into Africa. They seized mines, enslaved locals, and broke kingdoms apart. Mansa Musa's legend, once a tale of greatness, was twisted into a justification for invasion. Wealth that once lifted a nation now weighed it down in chains. Musa's story inspires, but it also warns. Wealth, when paired with vision, builds civilizations, but unchecked, it destroys them. Gold dazzles, but it can blind. True richness lies not in what you own, but in what you leave behind. So ask yourself, do you want to be rich, or do you want to be meaningful?
There are records of Mansa Musa, but most come from second-hand accounts. Even famed traveler Ibn Battuta never met him. Much of what we know was written decades after his death. So what's fact and what's myth? Did he truly possess such wealth? Or did time turn truth into golden exaggeration? A caravan of 60,000 men, gold on every camel, jewels on every servant. Is this history or storytelling? Maybe Musa's real legacy was transformed by awe. Sometimes a name becomes larger than life. And in Musa's case, his story didn't just survive, it expanded into something beyond fact. In Western narratives, Musa is often remembered for his gold and grandeur. But what about his intellect, his devotion, his role as a patron of learning? These aspects fade in stories obsessed with treasure. History is shaped by who tells it. And Musa stands right in the tension between fame and truth. So, was he real or legendary? The answer might be both. He dazzled with gold, but endured through knowledge. His wealth made him known, but his wisdom made him timeless. If we still speak his name today, it's not just because of what he had, but what he meant. Musa became a mirror in history's golden haze.
Centuries have passed, yet the name Mansa Musa still echoes. He's listed online as the richest man in history, featured in documentaries and shared across social media. But why? Because his story isn't just about gold. It's about faith, culture, and imagination. History didn't forget him, because Musa was never meant to be forgotten. In today's Africa, Mansa Musa is more than a memory. He's a symbol of pride, a reminder of power before colonization. New leaders look to him as a model of vision and strength. He wasn't just a king, he was a spark, a guiding mind who left behind more than wealth. Mansa Musa leaves us with one final question. Do you want to be rich,
Or do you want to be meaningful? Yes, he had gold, but his true treasure was the legacy he left behind. He shaped identity, inspired generations, and changed the course of a continent. If you want more stories like this, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. With your support, we'll keep legends like Musa alive.